Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. First, let me give shouts out to Black Agent and Ron because two things. Number one, they have updated me on certain things about which I was unaware. Now, the things that I said in my prior upload were based on the truth at the time that I learned them. But these things apparently have changed, and I wanted to thank them for updating me on what's changed. And two, these were two different things. Black Agent told me that the right and the right wing are distinct. And not only to me are they distinct, but they're distinct to each other as well. Now, I didn't think that they would really be that conscious or that focused on their own distinction, because we're talking about white conservatives and then right wingers. Far right, the nationalists. I didn't think they'd be that I didn't think they would really focus on that. I figured maybe the white nationalists would focus on the fact that a lot of white conservatives weren't that far right and they might look at them as traitors, but I didn't think that the the reverse would necessarily be true, or that they would be willing to entertain or think about it as much, largely because of one thing, and that is that whites, as you know, whites don't one thing about them is that they don't focus on their differences when we're around. They're aware of them, but they don't focus on them when we're around. And I figured that it probably hadn't gotten to the point where they were really as focused on this one. I also forgot a lot of stuff too that I already knew. I thank Black Agent for reminding me. Assalamu alaikum. Ron also told me that, you know what? No, everybody knows that the ABW is worse than all the other women in America to her own men. Now, I figured that when I said that these ladies were worse to their own men, what I meant was that whichever one is worse to her own men, I wasn't addressing that. What I was saying is that if you take the white woman, to which man is she, or on which man is she going to be the hardest? It would probably be, number one, maybe the Asian, because they don't look at Asian men as being viable. And then I'm going to count the South Asians in that as well. And then, of course, their own. Now, when it comes to marriage, yeah, they tend to want their own. But when it comes to actually getting their backs broken, they still look to us. That's kind of true here, too. They look to us. They want us to give it to them. And I've had more than one brother tell me that. Now, one told me that they like us, but I wouldn't see them walking around with us in marriages. So that made me wonder, okay, well, how the hell do they like us? But another one told me, no, they want us to dingling them down. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's just like the States in that regard. So that's happening here. And so I would say that I would say this. What I was trying to get at is that I generally thought that a lot of the ladies would be the hardest on the men of their own cultural background. Now, which group of women are harder on their own men than the other women are was up for debate. I really wasn't sure, in all honesty, but I suspected it would be sisters because sisters brag and boast about it. However, somebody confirmed for me that no, it's not, it's really not that bad for these other groups. That these Wyatts, while they are complaining about their women, they might be able to find, and I realized what it is. He was right. Ron was right. But I mean, if he's there and he's seeing it, and I'm not there anymore and I haven't been in 9 years, and I have to take his word for it. But what I see going on is that, see, with brothers, you can get disrespected by sisters if you're in a relationship with them, or if you're not in a relationship. Either way, they got to be disrespectful. But whereas with these Wyatt men, they can get in relationships and be respected, or they can be disrespected. They could not be in relationships and be disrespected and turn around and just not even talk to those broads anymore and still be in non-romantic relationships, like, like friendships, classmate relationships and colleague relationships, work relationships with other women, and be respected. So they could find both respect and disrespect. Brothers, be honest, when you're dealing with sisters, you pretty much are going to find disrespect or a very loose association in the first place, where you either have very little time to talk or you have very little about which to talk. One of those two that decreases the chances of just outright conflict. Once you get close, you get disrespected. Once you even get not so much close, but just around each other long enough, you get disrespected. And he said, Ron told me everybody knows that. Thank you for updating me, Ron, because honestly, what I mentioned, what I said, wasn't intended as a lie. It was just based on what I observed at the time I learned it. That's all. And I'm glad you updated me, because see, I've been gone for almost 10 years. Not quite, but almost a decade I've been gone. Ain't lived there before. I mean, ain't lived there since then. I visited multiple times. And now, just like in that movie Mississippi Masala, when the main lady character's father went back to Uganda for a visit and saw that it was not the same Uganda he'd left by force earlier, I have to realize that the same thing is going to happen in the States. I knew it was going to. I just thought maybe it would take longer, but I forget. No. Approaching 10 years, it's a different country. It's got to be. And I thank you all. Any of you that update me on update me on anything about which I'm outdated, thank you. I appreciate y'all doing that. And I will keep you all updated on what's going on here, because there are changes that are happening here too. And that's real. If you lived in Saudi 10 years ago and you come back here now, it's different. I've been living here since then, so I've seen the changes. I know if somebody ain't been back in 10 years, they're going to see it. This is not going to be my last upload for today. I'm going to do another one too, inshallah, but I'm going to talk a little bit about class compression in that one. And I want to give a shout out to the Reverend Brother Pastor Deacon Dr. Hurricane Edward Allen Anderson for the term class compression. I think he may have gotten it from the Blizzard King. He may not. I don't remember if he did or not. I don't remember if I heard the Blizzard King use that. But if you used it, Blizzard King, shouts out to you for coining that term. Whichever one of you coined it, shouts out to you. Mr. Anderson, definitely shouts out to you for bringing it to my attention. And that's going to be my next one. And I'm going to go ahead and put them up within a few minutes of each other, inshallah. But listen, I want to thank you all for listening again. And as always, black heart, black mind, black out. Assalamu alaikum, black heterosexual non-select male power, because they don't like it. Like patriarchy until extinction of Judgment Day. And thank you again for flying with us on Jet Black Airways, where Jet Black is also a verb. Keep Jet Black with us till the wings and the wheels fall off. Gender, justice, forever.